loving and wonderful family with you guys. Hey everyone, welcome to the Farm and Pastor's Wife and welcome to my kitchen down on the farm. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here. We are going to have such a good time today. I don't know about you, but how do you feel about leftovers? Let me just ask that. I love leftovers. I think it's the best way to stretch $1 and make your grocery bill go a little bit further. However, I often get bored having the same thing 2 nights in a row. Do you? So today's dish is something that I can make a lot of. I can feed my entire family. My children can come by, bring the grandchildren. Everybody can be here. And I can feed them that way, that many people, twice, and have 2 separate things, but with one main dish. So today we're going to make that. So I'm going to ask you guys just to come on into my kitchen, pull up a chair, grab you a drink, and we're going to make, today is going to be spaghetti and meatballs. Tomorrow it'll be something else. So just come on in and pull up a chair and I'll meet you back right here. Today is also going to be one of those glorious opportunities I get to share with you what to do when you don't have something you need. And that may happen occasionally. In fact, it usually happens in my kitchen. So I'm going to share with you, don't get upset, don't get worried, don't do anything, because let me tell you, you can usually fix just about anything or substitute. So I'm going to show you that today. So first I have here a couple of pieces of bacon that I'm just going to cut up. You can do 2 or 3 pieces of bacon, maybe more. You could do 4. I've got a couple of pieces. I'm leaving myself 2 slices of bacon in the refrigerator because, you know, it is tomato season and mine are just starting to turn and to get ripe, and it's BLTs. Don't that sound good? Yes. So I did save me out 2 pieces of bacon so I could have BLTs. So I'm just going to get this sauteing or frying down a little bit. You don't have to use bacon. You can use, goodness, you could use some pork belly. You could use a pork chop. Anything you season with is fine. And you don't even have to have bacon. You could just use a little bit of olive oil and it's going to be just as good. I just like to add a little bit of bacon just to give it just a little bit deeper flavor. But listen, if you don't have bacon, it's okay. Just use a little bit of olive oil and saute you up some onions. So I'm going to get this softening up and frying up in here. I'm going to get it on the stove. I'm then going to grab an onion and give it a medium dice on the onion. I won't bore you with my terrible knife skills. In fact, it actually might be quite entertaining, but I don't want to scare you with my knife skills. So I'll see you back once I get the onion all chopped up. So what's even worse than you watching my knife skills is watching how I chop an onion. And I'm not doing it today because it's quite funny. But, and I think I can do this quick enough that I don't need it. But a lot of times I have swimming goggles on because I've tried all the wives' tales, all the things that they say to do to keep your eyes from burning, and they don't work. I put the onion in the freezer. I've got the water, the rag out. I've done it all. And so anyway, the only thing that works is if I have on really tight swim goggles. But this one doesn't seem to be too terribly bad. So I'm going to get this on with the bacon and the bacon grease and get it to sauteing. And I'll meet you back as we put the sauce together. So to our bacon, it's not, as you can see, it's not crispy. That's okay. It's just going to cook away in here. It doesn't matter if it's crispy. I mean, it's not like you're going to eat like pieces of bacon. It's just going to kind of dissolve in the sauce. We are making our tomato sauce, tomato gravy, however you refer to it. I know a lot of people call it tomato gravy, and either one is fine with me. I love the word gravy, any which way it comes. I love me some gravy. So if you want to call this tomato gravy, even though it's not like milk gravy or sausage gravy, we'll call it gravy just because I love the word gravy. So I'm going to saute this onion up until it's nice and translucent. And then we're going to add a little bit of garlic. Actually, that's a lot of garlic. That's about 3 tablespoons of garlic we'll add in. I don't want to do it yet because I don't want it to burn. I just want to get these onions nice and softened and translucent. You don't have to get them browned or caramelized or anything. You just want to get them softened. We'll add the garlic in, and then I'll show you our first mistake I've made that I don't have in stock. I forgot to get it, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. All right, so now we're going to add in our garlic. Like I said, that's about 3 tablespoons of garlic. And then we're not done with the garlic because we're going to be adding some garlic powder to this as well. And you might want to cut your burner down just a little bit because you don't want it to burn. And you just want that garlic to get nice and fragrant and so good. Okay, so let's talk about where I made my mistake. I thought I had tomato paste, and this recipe calls for a half of the small can of tomato paste. I thought I had it, but I didn't. But I do have some tomato sauce. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this whole little can. It's a 8-ounce can of tomato sauce right in here to my onions, and I'm just going to let it cook down and thicken and develop and let it cook a little longer than I normally would have. It doesn't create quite exactly the same thing as the tomato paste, but it's pretty close. So we're just going to put it right in here with our onions and our bacon and our garlic, and we're just going to let it cook down quite a bit while I get everything else ready to go in this delicious sauce. So I want you guys to look at how this tomato sauce has thickened up. I mean, it is thickened up, and you basically kind of have your tomato paste that you have just added to the onions, and it has cooked down and thickened up, and you're not ever going to miss the tomato paste. So I have 4 28-ounce cans of crushed, all-purpose crushed tomatoes. And I'm going to add all 4 of those cans, and then I'm going to tell you how I clean out my cans. It's a little unique in the way that I do it, so we're going to just... it's not unique, it's just simple. Not unique, it is simple. Simple. You don't want to add too much water, but I am going to put just a little bit of water in a can, swish it around, pour that same amount of water in all cans, the exact same water in all cans. Hang tight and I'll show you. So I have just a little bit of water in this can, and I'm going to pour that amount of water, kind of cleaning out that can as I go. That can's empty and ready, and we're going to slosh it around in this can. We're then going to pour that water over into here. That can's pretty clean now. And we're going to slosh it around. You don't want to make a mess, so don't do too much sloshing. And we have one more can to clean out. And I kind of turned this can, getting all sides. Look at there. Pretty clean. There's still a little bit. And if you see a little bit, just pour it right back in. Slosh it a little more. There we go. Look at there. And then you just add that water in here. All right. So now we need to season this up. And we may add some more water, so don't think we're done. We may add some more. But we first want to add some seasoning to this. So we're going to wait on the salt and pepper, but we're going to measure with our heart with some garlic powder. And I'm going to think about 3 tablespoons. There we go. Two tablespoons, because we already have, pretty good amount of garlic in there. And we can always add 2, but you can't take out. So always go on the lighter side of your additions and then strengthen as you taste it and need to add more. Our next addition is Italian seasoning. And I'm assuming probably 3 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. I like a lot of Italian seasoning in my tomato sauce. So you just add what you think. Again, if you're not sure, start on the lighter side and add as you see fit. So we're going to move to the meatballs in just a minute. But let me tell you a little something I add in here. I do add about 1/3 cup of sugar, but I'll do that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and add some salt now. Salt and pepper to taste. That again needs to be on your taste preferences. I'm a salty girl. I'm a salty girl. Not in attitude, but in love of salt. So some people don't like as much as I do. So you add to your taste. And we're going to put some black pepper in here. Again, you add to your preference. We're going to give it a stir. And I'm going to kind of taste and see where we're at now, especially on the salt. But we don't want to over salt because I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese right into the sauce. And so the cheese will have a little bit of saltiness. So I don't want to over salt it, but I do want to taste and see where we're at. Needs more. Definitely needs more. Definitely. All right. So let's a little bit more water, and let's go ahead and add our sugar in. Let it cook for a little bit. Let all the flavors kind of come out, and then we'll see what we need to add, but we'll go ahead and get our meatballs going. All right, I'm adding about 1/3 cup of sugar. Now keep in mind, this is a large pot. So I know that looks like a lot of sugar, but in reality, it's really not. It's not gonna make this sweet or heavily sweet. It's just gonna add a little something. So we're gonna let this, before I add the Parmesan, I'm gonna let this cook for a little while. The longer you can let this cook, the better. So I would start this as early as you possibly can and just let it cook, and let all these flavors come together. So, all right, let's meet over on the island and we'll get started on our meatballs. So one other thing you can add to your sauce to flavor it up is an Italian sausage. That is something I used to add. I would get a link of Italian sausage and cut it into 3 parts and just drop the 3 parts in there. I don't do that much anymore because I have some family members whose palates are very sensitive to fennel. So if there's any fennel in that Italian sausage, they pick up on it. So now I just leave it out. But definitely if that flavor profile does not bother you, you can definitely add Italian sausage in there and it would be delicious. So our meatballs are very much going to be measured and seasoned. The seasoning for our meatballs are going to be measured with our heart. I'm going to try my best to eyeball and give you some amounts, but it's going to be good. So here I have about 2¼ pounds of 80/20. I would not go any higher fat content, only because the fat's going to release in there and it's going to rise to the top of your sauce. It's going to do that anyway. I'm going to have to skim some fat off, but if I can cut down on that, but I don't want to go any leaner than that as well, just because I want the good flavor. I don't want a dry meatball. You know, I think the 80/20 is the perfect ratio. Okay, so I've broke up my meat just a little bit and then I washed my hands. And so we're gonna start measuring. And I'm guessing it's gonna be about 2 tablespoons each. And I'm gonna start with parsley flakes. Yeah, probably 2 to 3 tablespoons of parsley flakes. And I would say the same to each seasoning. About 2 tablespoons of garlic. Two to three on everything. I'm also going to add in quite a bit of Parmesan cheese, grated Parmesan cheese, and we're going to add about 1.5 cups to 2 cups. I'll probably start with 1.5 cups of Italian style breaded breadcrumbs. So I'm going to start with 1.5 cups. There's a cup. There's a half. So we're going to go in and see how well these mix up. And you want to get everything mixed because you don't want to bite into a meatball that's nothing but the garlic powder. Now, a lot of people, and this is totally up to you, cook their meatballs on a cookie sheet and do them in the oven and then add them to the sauce. And that is wonderful. If you want to do that, that is perfection. And I don't blame you a bit. Now, if it gets too dry, which mine is a little bit dry, I may have added too much Parmesan cheese. You can definitely add an egg if you need to loosen it up a little bit, but you still want it to stay together. Add an egg. But I think mine are actually going to be okay. So what you want to do is be able to get out a chunk of meat, roll it into a ball, and let it stay a ball. And as my meat's a little cold, so as it warms up, it'll loosen up a little bit too. So there you go. You're just going to roll them into meatballs, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to roll them into meatballs, but I'm not going to bake mine in the oven. I'm actually going to drop it right in that sauce and let it cook in that sauce. Let me tell you why. If I was just doing spaghetti and meatballs, I actually do it in there just because it's easier and it saves a step and it's just as good. But another reason is because my second meal of this is going to be meatball subs. And what I don't want to do is have a too hard or too firm of a meatball that as I bite into it, it shoots off the end of the sandwich, or, you know, it just doesn't bite well. So what I'm going to do is I'm making these and I'm going to drop them and let them cook right in that sauce. That makes for a tender, delicious, wonderful meatball. They all get done, so you don't have to worry about doneness because we're going to cook them a good long while in that sauce. It's going to be delicious. So I'm going to stand here, make a few meatballs. I'll meet you back and we'll taste the sauce, see what it needs, and doctor it up if it needs anything. If not, we'll drop the meat right in and let it cook for as long as I possibly can before supper. So, all right, I'll see you back in just a minute. Okay, everyone, I turned the burner down because it was starting to pop and bubble out a little bit. Here are our absolutely beautiful, gorgeous meatballs. If you want to bake them in the oven, you by all means go right ahead and do that. They will be delicious either way. I just like to have a softer, more tender meatball, as well as having it infused with all the flavors that's in this wonderful tomato sauce. But what I want to do before I drop my meatballs in there is I want to give it a taste and check my seasoning again. So, fresh spoon, and we're going to give it a nice taste. Perfection. Perfection. All right, it is starting to bubble a little bit. It's okay once I put the meatballs in because I'm going to put the lid on and it's okay. So what I'm going to do, let me get you guys turned down here, is I am just going to slowly start dropping these right in. And it's okay if you get them on top of each other. We're going to push them down. I don't measure my meatballs. I just do like a golf ball size. And some are bigger, some are smaller. It's okay, because they're going to cook plenty of time. I mean, we don't have to worry about some getting done before the others because they're all going to get done. Look, stop spitting. That tomato sauce was spitting at me. All right, so I'm going to take very gently, I'm just going to push these down in here and kind of make room for some more. Just ever so gently. You don't want to break them up because they are still just raw meat and could easily break up. So be very gentle, very, very gentle. And they're going to soften up. They're going to release their juices as we continue cooking. All right, there's it for the meatballs. One more press down. I want to get them down in that sauce. One more press down very gently. And now we can put the lid on and let them cook for at least, you want it to go at least an hour like this, if not 2, 3. An hour the meatballs will be done, but the flavors just keep getting better and better the longer you let it cook. So it is on a low simmer, and we're gonna go, and I'll see you when it's time to taste this and have our supper. Okay, everyone, the meatball and sauce is ready, but I have to add one more thing before it's completely ready. And I'm gonna show you how we eat both meals. We're going to do both in one night. So let me show you first what we're going to add. First, let me show you how delicious this looks. Look at there. Look at that meatball right there. So delicious. Everything is ready. I cannot wait. So good. All right, but we have to add one more thing, and this just gives it a punch up. I like to add a handful of grated Parmesan cheese to my sauce. I just think that does a little something to it. We don't add a whole lot, but enough to mix in and just make you say, there is something rich and good and delicious in that. So I've got some water starting over here. We're going to do some noodles. I'm also going to get the second way we're going to eat this meal going, and I will meet you back when it's time for us to sit down and have dinner. Well, everyone, I have this plated in the 2 ways we would eat this. Night number 1, we would have spaghetti and meatballs, a side salad, and my crusty bread, had I made it. So that's what we would normally have on night 1. Leftover night, totally different meal, but the same entree, we would have meatball subs. So here we are. I'm gonna call Bryant in and we're gonna give it a try. Honey, you ready to come try it?
Sure.
Which one do you want to try first? Let's try night number 1 first.
Right. Sounds good.
This is the one we would have on night 1.
That is gorgeous. Ready? Homemade meatballs, right?
Yep. Everything's homemade. The sauce, well, the noodles aren't homemade, but I could have made them homemade, but they're not.
All right, here we go. I know I'm going to like this because that sauce smells delicious.
And you're going to burn the roof of your mouth off.
Probably so. Here we go. If I can get it plated here.
There you go. Napkin time.
Oh, very rich. The tomato sauce
So
is
good.
right on point. The meatballs are soft and tender, just delicious right there. So good.
So good. I need your napkin.
There you go. We need more napkins, right? I'm a heavy sauce guy.
So good. Now y'all could have added, if you want to add green peppers to that, definitely could. That would be delicious.
Yep.
I try to keep it as simple as possible.
Anything you do at home to make spaghetti.
Yep. I'm gonna try the sub. This is Caroline's favorite. She likes leftover night, and Isaac likes both nights. And the boys like spaghetti.
Yep. You toasted the sub, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That is good.
Perfect little, that's about a 6-inch sub roll. Plenty of sauce.
I sprinkled it with some Parmesan and mozzarella. Show them that meatball.
And that cheese right there.
So good.
Delicious.
That is on point.
Yep.
2 great meals, 1 entree, and they're 2 totally. It's not like you're eating leftovers again. It's like a whole new meal.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Hang tight, and I'll come back and tell you goodbye in just a minute. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching me make 2 different meals, but only making one thing to go with it, the sauce and the meatballs. This is such a delicious meal, and I know you will enjoy it, as will your family. So we're fixing to call my son and my daughter and see if they want to come grab some before some of us have to go to Bible school, vacation Bible school. It is that time of year. So we are going to enjoy this supper. I hope you guys, in fact, actually, Bryant and I have already enjoyed our supper, our pre-supper supper. This was like a little appetizer to our supper. But guys, thank you so much for joining the Farming Pastor's Wife. I love it when you come to my kitchen to visit, and I love sitting down with you guys and spending some time with you. It's like having friends with me at all times. So thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoy it. And as I always say, if the grease is hot enough, you can fry anything. Bye, y'all.
Hey everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the Very Vera Show. You know, Halloween is right around the corner and we've done so many shows that did things with the children for Halloween, but you know, all the adults love it too. So we're gonna do an adult dinner party, and our friends at Flowers on Broad here in Augusta have completely transformed my dining room into a spooky situation. I cannot wait for y'all to see it at the end. So we're gonna do 2 recipes today that are some of our all-time favorites. We're gonna start with the portobello mushroom soup. This was the cafe favorite on Thursdays. Everybody loved it. We even sold it to go. It was so popular. I think you'll really like it, but the presentation on this, on how to serve it to make it look spooky, I just cannot wait for y'all to see it. And then we're going to do braised short ribs. You know, this is everybody's favorite. I always order it when I go out, but we're doing a sauce with that is made with blackberries and brown sugar. It's going to be amazing. You'll end up using it on other meats as well. And then we're going to add to the plate presentation to make it even spookier by doing fingerling fingers to put the meat on top, and then ghost meringues for dessert. So we've got a lot to do today. Let's get started with that portobello mushroom soup. All right, so this is one of my favorite recipes. You know, people say, what's your favorite recipe in the book? And they're all my favorites, needless to say, because we were in the mail order business and we shipped a lot of things. But we had a cafe on Washington Road, and we had a soup of the day. And this was the soup of the day on Thursday. It's our portobello mushroom soup, and I absolutely love it. So for this adult Halloween party with 8 of my closest friends, we are going to be making this for the first course. So I've got my butter melted in my Dutch oven. So now I'm going to add in my portobello mushrooms. And just look at the consistency. You've got some that are a little bit larger and some that are more bite-sized. But when you're doing a soup or a stew, one of the things that you want to remember is that that is going on a spoon. And so you don't want it to be overtaking the spoon so that they can't get the cream sauce and the other vegetables that are in it. And you think, wow, that is a lot of mushrooms, Vera, but it's just like spinach. This is gonna cook down. So I've got this on about a medium heat. I'm gonna add in my green onions, spring onions, green onions, and I'm gonna say green this time because we only use the tops. And that's where all the flavor is, and it also just really adds a beautiful color to this. So what we're gonna do is just let this cook down, get those vegetables, you know, cooked, let the flavors incorporate. So I'm gonna keep this on about a medium heat. Now I'm going to move over to the roux that's going to thicken this and make it great. So I've got more butter here, and I've got my flour measured out. And you know, our recipes, we've got several new stations, so I certainly want for those new folks to know that we always put our recipes on our website every week when we do the show. And it's veryvera.com. You go to show and recipes, and you'll find the recipes right there. All right, so let me turn this up just a little bit. And when you're doing a roux, you have some options. You can do a very light roux once all of your flour is incorporated. You can do it that way, or you can get it a little bit brown. I recommend, however, for this one that you kind of keep it light because you are going to put it in the pot to cook for, you know, a little bit longer to get all of this incorporated. So what I'm looking for here is just a good thickness on this because you can see there is a lot of different milks going into this recipe. So let me stir this about just a minute. You can tell that the mushrooms are starting to cook down. Those onions are looking great. And you know, cream soups are so hearty for the fall. I mean, you can do that with a grilled cheese sandwich, especially if you're, you know, a vegetarian. I mean, it's the perfect meal for that. All right, so now I'm gonna add my chicken base to my milk, and this is just gonna be part of the flavor of this soup. Take my whisk back from the roux, and I just want to incorporate that. So I've got milk, I've got half and half, I've got cream, and this soup and it honestly freezes really well. So when you're making it, the recipe in the book serves 8, you know, go ahead and make 8, even if you don't need that much, because you can pop it in the freezer and pull it out when you don't have time. All right, so now I'm going to gradually add this to the roux. And if you go gradually, then you don't have to let it just sit there and cook longer and longer. It's going to stay thick. And again, this is just, you know, this would be a great teaching moment too. If you've got a young person that's interested in learning about cooking, we do so much with baking with children, but to learn how to make a white sauce, a cream sauce, there's so many dishes that use that. So I'll keep adding this and get that really nice and creamy, and then we'll get started on adding that into the soup. All right, so this, just look how beautiful that is. And I mean, I could add some wine to this, capers to this. There's so many things that you can do with a good roux or a white sauce. So I'm gonna now add that in to the pot with the vegetables. And I love to use a flat-edged wooden spoon when I do this, because when you're working with creams and that sort of thing, you want to make sure that nothing is getting too hot on the bottom. And then I've got my half and half, and then my heavy cream. And then this is going to simmer on top of the stove for 35 to 40 minutes. So you can walk away and go do something else for a few minutes and just enjoy the aroma, because it's fantastic. All right, when we come back from the break, we'll get started on those short ribs. We've got a lot to look forward to.
If you've never been or even visited lately, it's time to see Augusta. Georgia's Soul City is experiencing a renaissance with new restaurants, shops, and attractions popping up almost daily. Whether you're a foodie, a history buff, with family or friends, or just looking for an adventurous weekend getaway, come see us. Our gracious, friendly people and laid-back, eclectic style make a trip to Augusta an easy, unforgettable experience. Plan your trip today at visitaugusta.com.
See what's possible for your kitchen. With Sub-Zero refrigeration, Wolf Cooking, and Cove dishwashing.
Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining me, I'm having a spooky party with some of my closest friends that you're going to meet at the end of the day. So we're having a lot of fun. So the portobello mushroom soup that I've already made is nice and thick. The aroma is fantastic. And if it gets a little bit too thick, you can always get that a little bit looser with some chicken broth or just some water, because you've got so much cream in the recipe. All right, so this recipe is for the short ribs, braised short ribs. And we actually did a recipe very similar to this in season 1 with my special guest, Tyler Florence, and it was a fantastic show. And honestly, this is season 13, so it's just time to do short ribs again. And so there was a little bit that I had to do in advance. So I had my butter melted in my Dutch oven. I put in my celery, carrots, and onions, and I just let those saute. And then I patted down the short ribs just to get the moisture off so that the salt and pepper would stick really well to those. And so now all of that's done, and I'm getting ready to get these nice and braised. So the butter looks just great. And what we want to do here is do the fat side down to sear these. Hear that nice sound? That's what we're looking for. You know, short ribs come in all different sizes and shapes. So I want to make sure each of my guests gets 2. So I'll probably have to do this in 2 batches. So I'll just push these over. But if you have your heat on about medium high, this is going to cook for quite a while in the oven. So all I'm trying to do is get a nice brown sear to this. And because these are kind of thick, we'll also want to do a little bit on each side. So just kind of keep your eye on those. Okay, so let's start flipping these over to the other side. So that's exactly what we're looking for right there, is just a nice sear. And you know, this is one of those things that there's a few steps, it takes a little bit, but it's so worth it in the end, because this, you know, cooks in the oven for about 2.5 hours. So once you've done this part, you can finish out the rest of your meal. All right, so at some point, you know, we're going to want to flip these on the side. So I'll let these cook for just another couple of minutes. All right, so those are looking good. I'm going to turn it and get the sides done. And you know, I picked these up at the Fresh Market, and they don't always have them. So what you might want to do, and I always recommend, if you really love to cook, you need to get friendly with the butcher, because that's when you'll know when things are going to be on special. But you can just call ahead and make sure that they have them and ready to go. All right, so now I'm going to transfer these to a plate to get the rest of this going. Because like I said, these are going to finish off and get completely done in the baking process in the oven. We've just gotten a nice sear. Okay, all of my short ribs are done. I've taken the excess fat and drained it off. I've added butter, and now I'm going to add in some freshly chopped garlic, fresh garlic. I mean, can it get any better than what we're doing right here today? I mean, it is just Aroma City and just some of my favorite foods. All right, so now I'm going to add in an entire bottle of red wine. Ooh, this is so beautiful. And this is going to cook down, and this sauce is amazing. Like I said, you might be grilling steaks, and you could make this to go on top of them, and you would be a hit. All right, so now this is going to cook down until there's about a cup left in the pan. So this will take a little bit. Oh, just look at that. And I mean, honestly, if I got a measuring cup out, that's almost exactly a cup. Love it. All right, so now I'm going to add back in these beautiful vegetables. They're still bright and colorful. We're going to just cover the bottom with that. And then I've got my spare ribs. We're going to add those back in with the bone side down. Oh, it's just going to be fantastic. And it's going to get even thicker as it cooks. So my oven is preheated to 325. Like I said, you've got other things you can go do because this cooks for 2.5 hours and your house is going to smell amazing. Got some fresh herbs to go on top to make it even better. And then I want to cover it with beef broth. I'll put the lid on it and get that in the oven. And when we come back, we're going to make this amazing sauce I keep talking about. This is going to go over it when you serve it. And my friends are hungry, so come back with us in just a few minutes.
How do you feed the family for just $6.25 per person? That used to be easy with casual restaurants, but now you need this. Little Big Meal from the Fresh Market. A ready-to-cook meal that feeds a family of 4 for $25. We take care of all the prep and make each meal easy to shop and easy to cook. Discover a new Little Big Meal every Wednesday and shop online for curbside pickup. Try America's Most Loved Dinner today, only at the Fresh Market.
Hey, I'm Vera Stewart, and I'm excited to introduce my new cookbook, Occasions. Full of tried and true dishes from my years of catering, Occasions has the right recipe to wow your guest. And don't forget to pick up my first book, which showcases dishes sold online and in our restaurant for years. Learn more about these classic Southern cookbooks by visiting our website and follow us on social media. Order your copies of the Very Vera cookbooks today. Welcome back, everybody, and these short ribs are smelling amazing. It's just so great in here. So we had a little bit that we went ahead and did. We got this out of the oven. We had made one the day before, so it was all ready to go. I've removed the short ribs from the pot into a bowl, and just some of them are just falling off the bone. This dish is so good. And then I took the vegetables and everything and poured it into a strainer in a glass bowl to get rid of all of those vegetables, because we really want this sauce to be just very smooth and lovely. So we've done that. So now this blackberry part of this final sauce that's going to go on top, I've got my blackberries in my pot, and I'm going to add in a tablespoon of brown sugar. So certainly I've got on my nice apron, but I want to remind you that when you are smashing blackberries, that you want to be careful. Just take your time, because that blackberry juice is hard to get out. But I'll give you this little tip. Blue Dawn gets most anything out. We live by it around here. All right, so we're just smashing these down to open up those juices. I'm going to put this on a medium high, and then this is going to reduce. So the brown sugar is just going to bring out the flavor of that blackberry and then add the sweetness to it. This is going to be great with the rest of this fabulous broth that was in the pot. Just look at these blackberries. I mean, that reduced down beautifully. All right, so we don't want those blackberry seeds in this sauce. So I'm gonna move over here to another bowl that I have with a strainer, and we're gonna just mesh those blackberry seeds right out of this. So I'm sure you're thinking, this is a lot of trouble, Vera. But you know, sometimes it's just nice to get in the kitchen and enjoy the aromas, and the final product is so worth it. All right, so I'm just gonna take the smaller spatula, and you're really just moving this around, because there is some bulk in that, but eventually you'll get what you're looking for there with this reduction. All right, so that looks about right. And honestly, I might throw some peanut butter on some bread with that a little bit, have a sandwich. Looks amazing. Okay, I'm gonna come right back over there with this. All right, so now this is the sauce that I took out of the pot earlier after I removed the short ribs. And I'm just gonna take a bigger spoon, and I'm just gonna try to get a little bit of that fat off of there before I put it back in the pot. And you might have one of those fat separators at home that you could use for this. All right, so now I'm gonna move this back to the original pot. And see how much fun I'm having? You can have this much fun too. All right, so I'm gonna turn this back on to about a medium high. I'm gonna add in this amazing blackberry reduction. My friends that are coming to this party are going to think I'm a gourmet cook for sure today. And I just can't wait for y'all to see the presentation. All right, so we're gonna let this cook. And then I've got cornstarch to do a slurry. If I don't think it's quite thick enough, I will add that to it to thicken it up. So when we come back from the break, I'm going to change into my little costume for the party, and I can't wait to introduce you to my friends. So come back with us in just a few minutes.
Every spring, thousands of patrons gather in Augusta for the golf event of the year. If you're making the trip, let Vera manage all aspects of your tournament week experience, from finding the perfect home to providing exquisite meals for you and your guests, to transportation to and from the course. With over 35 years experience, Vera has you covered. Plan your trip at veraaugusta.com.
See what's possible for your kitchen. With Sub-Zero refrigeration, Wolf Cooking, and Cove dishwashing.
Welcome back, everybody, and I am the server for the dinner party tonight, and I am so thrilled with the fact that all of my guests were on time, and the room looks amazing. So we have Edgar and Autumn, Raven, Vincent, and Spooky Ann. So I'm so excited that they're here, and just look at the transformation of my dining room. You have seen it in so many different capacities, but you have never seen it quite like this. So I'm so excited. And part of what is making this so special is elements that you can pick up yourself. We've put dry ice in the silver goblets just to give that glowy, spooky look to those. The lighting in general is great, but these skeletons are just plastic skeletons that are in the chairs with all different types of accessories so you know who is who. And I cannot thank Flowers on Broad and Augusta enough for putting all of this together. They have done an amazing job, so creative. So, be sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook about where all of this came from and how it came together. So let's talk about the recipes we made today. We started with the portobello mushroom soup. This is a thick and creamy soup. And, presentation is everything to the Very Vera Show. So don't just put that soup in a bowl, garnish it, make it look amazing. So what we've done is moss that you can pick up at a craft store to go around on the charger plate. The bowls that Replacements Limited sent are just fabulous. Perfect for this theme. And then we did mushrooms to kind of enhance the fact that it's a mushroom soup. So it really does have that scary look to it, but it's going to be so exciting to eat it because it is just absolutely delicious. If the soup is too thick when you make it, you can certainly make it thinner with some chicken broth or water. All right, so those braised short ribs are fat and juicy, very much unlike the guests that we have today. So as I said, that meat is going to fall right off the bones, and these people really need to eat those short ribs. So it just turned out beautifully on the plate. It's got a fantastic blackberry sauce that goes over it. But what we've done in the presentation there is we just halved little fingerling potatoes, cut out a little wedge at the top, added an almond, and painted the nails green. So you've got that witch's hand right up under those short ribs. It just looks great. So how in the world are you going to get all of this ready to serve? Well, as we showed you earlier, these things can be made in advance. The soup can even be frozen. And when it's time to reheat things, you want to go slowly with it. So, add some additional liquid to the soup. Same thing with the short ribs. You can put more wine or more of the beef broth just to get it heated up 10 or 15 minutes, especially if you've pulled it out of the refrigerator and let it come to room temperature. If the beef is too tangy, you can add some more brown sugar, or if you want to cut some of the wine, you can add some lemon juice. So I certainly want to thank my partners at Replacements Limited, everything from the silverware, the goblets, the plates, everything. And on Instagram and Facebook, we're going to have a diagram for where you can order and what the patterns were for each one. And then again, Flowers on Broad, I cannot thank my friends down there enough for putting this together. And remember, no matter what you do it in good taste. Even if it's spooky, you can do it well.